welcome or welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. And today's video is my March making wrap up. So all of the things that I worked on throughout the month of March I shall be chatting about in this video. I've got knitting, spinning, a little bit of crochet, and at the very end I've got some acquisitions to share with you too. So I hope you had as nice a March as you can do. There are so many hard things going on in the world right now, and it's kind of difficult in a lot of ways to keep on top of your mental health. I don't know if you've found it, certainly what I've been finding after all of the things that we've all been through in the last couple of years, to feel like there might be a light at the end of the tunnel with regards to pandemic stuff, to then be confronted by all of the horrible things that are going on. And yeah, it's just a lot, isn't it? So I'm sending lots of love and hugs out to anyone who needs those right now. And yeah, just take care of yourself, look after yourself. And yeah, I think that's all I'll say on that at the minute. I had quite a nice month despite all the things that are going on. We were able to get away with some friends at the beginning of the month, and you might have seen a little bit of footage of that and a few other things that I got up to in March at the beginning of this video. And it was so nice to have the privilege of getting away for a weekend, and we haven't seen our friends for 2 years, so it was really nice to be able to have that time away, just to relax and do something a little bit different. And yeah, I'm very grateful that we, as I say, had the privilege of that at the start of the month. Other than that, there hasn't been too much going on here, just work and life and usual stuff. So yeah, I hope your month has been as good as it could be. Before I launch into the making content and the acquisitions, I will just mention what I'm wearing, because I had a request under one of my videos for me to try and remember to mention what I'm wearing in each video, and I do recognise that I don't often do that, so I will try to remember to do that going forward. And I think it should be reasonably easy for me to remember to do that when I'm doing these sort of sit down videos. If I'm doing something that's more like a vlog style, where I'm recording footage on multiple days, then I probably won't remember to chat about what I'm wearing. But if there is anything that you see me talk about or that I wear in any of my videos that you want to know more about, then please just do leave a comment below. But today I'm wearing the Weekender pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I spun up the yarn for this. So this is my one and only so far hand spun sweater that I have finished, and I did a combo spin for this sweater, which means that I basically pulled out a whole bunch of different braids from different dyers, different fibre contents from my stash that all had some kind of orangey content, my favourite colour, to them, and spun them up and knit them up into a Weekender. And I do have a video up on the channel from quite some time ago now about the sort of combo spin process, so if I remember I'll try and link that somewhere above. Okay, let's get stuck into the making content. We'll start with knitting, and if you watched my March making plans video, you might remember that I mentioned that the majority of my knitting time would be taken up with a test knit, and I was right to think that, and basically I knit almost exclusively on that test knit for the entire month. And I can't show you that sweater right now. I did manage to finish a sweater in a month, which I'm quite proud of myself for. And hopefully I'll be able to share that with you at some point in the future. I did manage to finish 2 other small projects and work on another 2. So I've got 2 finished objects and 1 work in progress to share with you. So I might talk about the work in progress first, because when I did my March making plans, my dice game, I think I had 1 spinning project and 3 knitting projects pop up in that video. And I did say at the time that it might be a little bit of a push for me to get to any of those projects, but I wanted to play the game and have some fun with it and have projects in mind if I did get some spare time. Now, the only project that I did manage to work on was actually the mood prompt. So the dice rolled mood for me, and the idea of that prompt is just to pick a project that I fancied working on at some point during the month. And as it happened, I did go out and meet a couple of friends for various, coffee dates and lunch dates. And I needed a portable project, something that I could work on out and about. So for my mood project, I actually picked up one of my 12 cast-ons, and it's just a plain vanilla sock, no patterning, just knitting through the yarn. And this was the cast-on for day 5 of my 12 cast-ons this year, and it's some beautiful yarn that was sent to me by the lovely Tammy of the Yarning at the Homestead channel, and I'll pop a link to Tammy's channel below or up above or somewhere. And yeah, this is the sock that I'm working on. It's Pattern Croy yarn in the Sierra stripes, I think. Do I have the ball band handy? Bear with me a second. No, I seem to have discarded it somewhere, so sorry, can't tell you the colourway, but it's something to do with Sierra sunset stripes, burnt Sierra. I can't remember, sorry. The label will turn up, I'm sure. But as you can see, I have almost finished sock number 1, and I haven't got heel in yet, because when I was on one of my out and abouts, I got to the point where I would usually put in some waste yarn for a heel, and I didn't have any waste yarn with me, so I decided to do a true afterthought heel and just knit the sock, and then I'll cut into my yarn at some point when I'm ready to do both of the heels, I think. And I've put a contrast toe on this one. I got a mini skein from the lovely Anne, who is the host of the No Excuses Knitting podcast here on YouTube. Again, I'll stick some links somewhere. And Anne sent me several mini skeins last year and included this really bright orange, which I thought was quite a nice pop of sort of orangey contrast for this colourway, and I thought it'd be quite a fun little sort of secret in my shoes if I have a little bright orange toe. So I've got sort of 2 friends knit into this one pair of socks, which is just really lovely. So yeah, I almost finished sock number 1, and I have made a reasonable start on the leg of sock number 2. So, whoops, I'm getting in a right tangle here. So yeah, sock number 2 is well underway. Still quite a way to go though. So yeah, that project kept me company at various points throughout the month, and hopefully it won't be too much longer before I finish that, although the dice have not urged me to pick this project for my April May, but if I need something to take out and about, then I might resort to that one, because it won't take too much effort to get that finished, and it'll be really nice to tick another one of my 12 cast-ons off of the list and get some more finished. I think I've only finished 1 so far this year, so yeah, need to get a scoot on with that. I do have 2 finished objects to share with you, however. The first is part of a year-long knitting goal that I have set for myself, to knit at least 1 hat for charity every month in 2022, and this is my finished hat for March. It's a really lovely pattern called the Dirty Little Secrets hat, and it was a pattern that was gifted to me by Laura, who's a member of our community here, so thank you so much, Laura, for the gift and the opportunity to knit up a pattern that's been on my wish list, my queue, for almost as long as I've been on Ravelry. And it's a really nice kind of simple hat, reverse stockinette stitch with these sort of columns of twisted stitch, and you knit the hat inside out, so you're actually doing a lot of knitting rather than a lot of purling. And it's a lovely slouchy hat, and I've been very curious to see how this hat would fit me, because in the picture on the project page the models have got quite a lot of hair, and I've got quite thin hair, not too much hair, so yeah, I was wondering how this hat would fit me. And actually it is a little bit too loose around the brim. It does fit, but this hat isn't for me, so it doesn't really matter. But it's been really nice to kind of try this pattern out, so I will pop it on. As you can see, hopefully you can see, I can't see what I'm showing you right now, but it's got a lovely lot of slouch to it, but the brim is looser than I would like for a hat. I like my brims to be close fitting so that they're not sort of slipping down over my eyes as I'm wearing them. But I think I could easily adjust this, and I reckon even if I took out 1 whole pattern repeat, that would cinch things in enough to give me a nice tight brim, or I could go down several more needle sizes to make the brim. In the pattern, it has a really interesting detail on the finished hats. There are little studs at the bottom of these columns of twisted stitches, and I don't have anything that I think would work like that. in my stash, but I might have a look through my button stash to see if I could maybe add some buttons to the bottom of these columns of stitches, because I think it's a really nice fun detail, and it's one thing that sort of attracted me to the hat in the first place. So I haven't had a chance to raid my button stash yet. I've only just finished this hat. I'm recording this video on the 1st of April. I might have a look to see if I've got anything suitable in stash to add that little detail there. I used, yarn-wise, a skein of Sirdar Super Soft Aran, and this is probably a discontinued colourway. I don't have the ball band, and it was one lonely skein that I had left over in my Yarn and Yarns shop stash, and I really liked the mild effect in this particular ball, so I figured as I only had one left, it would be a good candidate for working up into my charity hats. And it's 2 tones of blue basically. There's a sort of denim blue and more of a sky blue. And yeah, I like the overall effect of that marling in the hat. It almost looks like a solid colour when you look at it from far away, but as you bring it in closer you can see that sort of depth of colour in there. I haven't yet weighed this, but there's still a lot of yarn left, so if I've got 50 grams or more, I might make another version of this. If I've got less, I might adapt this and make a smaller version, so I might take out a pattern repeat, or I might put a little bit less slouch in it. But yeah, it'd be nice to use this ball up, so if I get time in April, I might cast on another one of these and just play with whatever yarn I've got left. So yeah, thank you once again to the lovely Laura for gifting me that pattern. I had such a lot of fun making that hat. It was a really nice break between the sessions that I was knitting on the sweater. And then my second finished object for March is my gnome for the Year of the Gnomes. This is another year-long make-along that I'm participating in. The lovely Sarah Shearer of Imagine Landscapes is hosting a year-long make-along for her gnome patterns, and you can basically knit whichever of the patterns that she has released that you want each month and enter into the knit along fun. So my March gnome is done, and it is a rainbow gnome and all knit from my hand spun yarn. I have a video about this yarn coming up soon on the channel once I get round to editing it. This yarn that I spun up was from my second ever attempt at making rolags on my blending board. So I made the rolags and I spun up the yarn, and then from the yarn I actually plied the same singles in 2 different ways to make 2 slightly different yarns, which I think you can kind of see coming through on the back of the gnome here. The bottom on the body is a 3-ply yarn, and on the hat is a 2-ply yarn. So yes, if you are interested in that whole process, as I say, I should have a video coming up which will go right through blending the fibre on the blending board through to finished knitted object. And this is the Never Not Gnoming pattern from Sarah Shearer. I think this is the first pattern that she released, so just the basic gnome, no sort of bells and whistles. A lot of the other gnome patterns have fun little details, but this is just the basic pattern, and yeah, it was just really fun to knit that up through March. I have a little bit of crochet for you next, which actually, thinking on it, I lied earlier. I think I had 2 knitting projects, 1 spinning project and 1 crochet project, not 3 knitting projects in the dice video. But anyway, I tried and sadly failed to finish my Victor Frog, which is my current crochet project. Now Victor was another of my 12 cast on projects, and I started Victor on day 6. Victor is a pattern from the Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pal book, and I had hoped last weekend to finish Victor. However, I went great guns on Saturday and then on Sunday I woke up and was plagued by a migraine all day, and actually ended up taking a really long nap, like more like a sleep than a nap, which actually kind of scuppered my Sunday, but I really needed it. It was a migraine that was really affecting my eyes. So yeah, I didn't manage to work on Victor at all on Sunday, and like I say, I was kind of hoping I might be able to get him finished in a weekend, but it didn't happen. But I did make some progress on Victor. Last time you saw Victor, he was just the top of his head, somewhere around here, I think, and he didn't have his eyes attached. So yeah, he's really coming together now. I've got to the point where I've almost finished his body, so let me show you Victor on the front cover here. As you can see, he does have these shorts that go over his body, but I've reached the point under his shorts he's got some polka dot pants on. And the pattern says either you can obviously work the polka dot pants or you can just carry on in the body colour, because if you put his little swimming trunks over the top you can't really see the polka dot pants anyway. So yeah, I've reached that point where I need to decide whether I'm going to do the polka dot pants. I think I will, because it's just a cheeky fun little detail. But yeah, sadly I did not get any further than that on Victor Frog. Such a shame that my weekend got scuppered, but at least I did manage to pick him up and add a few rounds to him, so a little bit of progress, a little bit closer to having him finished. Apologies for any angle changes there, my camera battery died, so just had to swap it out. Finally, for my making content for March, I've got spinning to share with you. The spinning project that I should have been working on, according to the dice, was my spin for the Love Note sweater that I've got going on, which was one of my 12 cast-ons this year. However, I went off down a completely different spinning tangent, as I sometimes do, and, you know, I'm not mad about it. I did what I fancied doing at the time. Yeah, I went very hard down the spinning rabbit hole this month. I think I needed that sort of balance between the intensity of trying to get my test knit sweater finished. Whenever I needed a break from that, I also felt like I needed a break from knitting for the most part. So although I did manage to work on a couple of my sort of little obligation projects, my knit-alongs as obligations, that doesn't sound right, does it? But I want to keep up the momentum for my year-long sort of goals with the gnomes and the hats. But there were times where I just needed a total break from knitting. So I actually went back to my e-spinner, which has been neglected since probably December. Well, I know for a fact since December. It kind of got put away when James's mum and dad came for the Christmas break, and I never really got back to it for one reason or another. And I had a spin in progress on there, which I was really enjoying, and yeah, just kind of like put out of my head, and like I say, never really went back to. So I finished the yarn finally, or the fibre that was on my e-spinner, and it's glorious. So I don't know why it's taken me so long, but it just did. These things happen sometimes, don't they? So this is my most recently finished skein of handspun yarn, and it was from a braid of fibre that was a lovely gift from Louise, who is a wonderful member of our community here and a lovely friend of mine. And this was a Christmas gift, not for this past Christmas gone, but the year before. It was a braid of fibre from Variable Difference, a dyer here in the UK, and it is a blend of 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And I decided to tackle this back in December because I was hoping that this skein might become part of my 12 cast-ons, but I didn't obviously get the yarn finished. And I was trying to tackle once again my my spinning nemesis of getting a fingering weight 3-ply yarn, and yet again I didn't quite manage it. I've definitely got closer. This is the closest I've got, but I split the braid into 3 and did a traditional 3-ply, and my yarn in parts is definitely fingering weight, 3-ply fingering weight, for which I'm celebrating, but in other parts it kind of, as fibre sometimes does, kind of puffed up in the washing process, and it's almost probably DK in some parts. Where it's not what I was aiming for, but I'm not disappointed with it because the yarn is beautiful, the fibre was beautiful to spin, and as I say, with every attempt at hitting a 3-ply fingering weight, I get closer and closer. I will still make socks with this for sure. I haven't actually measured my meters yet because this has literally just finished drying, but I ended up with one big skein like this, and then inevitably when you're trying to spin across 3 bobbins, one bobbin will run out before the others. So I ended up with a smaller skein of yarn, which is still a 3-ply, but it's a 3-ply from 2 of my bobbins. So I wound one of the bobbins up into a centre pull ball, and then made the last little mini skein from that. And once I finished that skein, which was a couple of days ago now, I felt so inspired to keep going on my e-spinner. And so I went to my spinning cart, which has been sadly neglected this year, and I pulled off the first quantity off my spinning cart in 2022, and we're almost in April and I haven't spun anything. But I had a 50-gram braid that was a gift from my lovely friend Caroline of Colourful Creativity, and it's a fabulous mix of merino, silk and polyamide nylon, a blend that I haven't spun before, and I'll put a little bit of video of the braid before I started spinning it. And I just got obsessed with spinning this braid up, and here is the finished singles all on one bobbin. And I'm going to actually chain ply this, although there's not much of it in terms of weight, grams. I really love the colour progression, and I want to try and preserve that. And again, I'd really like to try and knit some socks, although, you know, silk is quite extravagant for socks, but I've got a lot of fibre in my stash at this point, and I don't think I've ever knit any socks with silk content, so it would be quite fun to experiment with that, but it will come down to yardage. I probably will have to do contrast heels, toes and cuffs. There should be enough for hat or fingerless mitts if I don't get enough for socks. In some ways it's kind of seems a shame for this luxurious yarn to go on my feet, but that's just what I fancy doing with it, and so yeah, we'll see. I obviously need to spend time plying this up now. That's been my real obsession over the last few days. James and I, in the evenings before we go to bed, rather than just sit and kind of stare at the telly, we try and listen to an audiobook together for half hour or an hour each evening. So sitting at my e-spinner, finishing off the orange braid and then spinning this has become my little ritual while we're listening to an audiobook, which is a really nice way to end the day. So I hope I can keep that going. Far and away, the thing that I spent most time on, spinning wise, in March has been a support spindle project that I have embarked upon. Last October, I treated myself to a fibre box, a Halloween fibre box. I think it was called a Halloween Advent, but I mean, I don't know. Is Halloween Advent an actual thing? I don't think so. But regardless, it was a box which either has 10 or 12, I can't remember off the top of my head, quantities of fibre, 20 gram bumps of fibre, and it was from, who was it from? Wonderful Wool here in the UK, and I decided, obviously I wanted to try and spin it up back in October, and I spun the first colour, but then I just felt drawn to pick this back up and start spinning through it, and so yeah, I've been spinning it up on my support spindles, and I now have a basket full of singles, and woo, this is almost every single support spindle that I own. So yeah, there's a lot of spinning time here, but yeah, I've just loved taking all of my support spindles for a drive. I've just it's just been joyful. So I need to do some plying soon. Because like I say, I've almost run out of spindles, although I do have a new spindle in my acquisitions, and this will lead us nicely into acquisitions actually. So yeah, that's my sum total of my support spinning, minus the 2 spindles that had the red on, because those were ones that I did back last year. But there has been a lot of a lot of support spindling going on. 2 of the spindles in this basket are actually part of my acquisition segment, so I think we can smoothly move into acquisitions now. Well, that wasn't very smooth, my phone rang. Anyway, so I treated myself to a support spindle from a new to me maker called Alice Savage, and Alice is based in Italy. Alice had on her Instagram a collection of spindles. She makes these beautiful support spindles and tends to have little limited runs of various designs, and she had this one, has got a beautiful cherry blossom design on the bottom, which I shall show you in closer detail. And I decided, when I popped over to the shop, she had one left, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to treat myself and buy one of her spindles, because I've been following her Instagram for quite a while. And as part of the offer that she had on the spindle, she also said that she would carve an initial into the spindle as well. So yeah, a beautiful blossom design, and she put my and she also added the initial A into the back of that spindle as an extra personal touch, which was absolutely lovely. And then a few days after I received that blossom spindle, I noticed on Alice's Instagram that she was running a fundraising raffle to help a couple of charities that are supporting the relief effort for Ukraine. And I figured, you know, the likelihood of winning a raffle was quite small, but the tickets were only a few euros each, and I've been trying to donate where I can as and when I've been able to spare a few pounds, because I think every little bit helps, doesn't it? And I thought, well, why not support Alice as a spindle maker and her efforts to raise this money. And lo and behold, I actually won the blinking spindle. I couldn't believe it. So I was just completely blown away. You were able to purchase multiple tickets if you wanted to, but at the time I could only spare enough money to buy one ticket, and one ticket was all it took. So I received a second absolutely glorious spindle from Alice, and this is it. And I think this might be a one-off design. She did have some other sunflower designs that she was selling to, again, help to raise money for Ukraine relief efforts, but I'm not sure. I think this might have been a one-off. So I am very, very lucky to have received this, and as you can see, I've already started spinning on it and it's spinning up beautifully. And yeah, both of those spindles will have obviously been added to my fleet of support spindles and will be absolutely treasured. I love them both. So yes, we have smoothly-ish moved into acquisitions, and I know a third support spindle has come to live with me this month, and this one I picked up from someone's D-stash, and it is, I believe, an IST Crafts spindle with its own spindle bowl as well. And I've been very curious. I see often support spindles sort of sold in a set with a bowl, and I've been very curious to try out a few of these sort of sets that are designed to come together to see how much of a difference it makes. I kind of spin in various bowls and vessels and things, and the bowl that you use with your support spindle does definitely make a big difference. There are some spindles that I've got in my collection that I thought I didn't like, but then I changed what I was spinning them on in terms of the surface, and they've now become, you know, among my favourite spindles. So yeah, you never know. I think sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error to get the right combination. So I've been very curious to try out this, and this is an obvious set because you know, the look and the design is the same. Spinning in my hand beautifully, and I will be trying this out soon. Once I've finished spinning through that sea green colour from my Halloween box, I will be opening up the next package, and I will be putting the first half of that fibre onto this lovely spindle and giving it a try. While we're on the subject of spinning and fibre, I did a little bit of a exchange with my friend Jeanette. So I have been, as you might know from my previous video, embarking on a little bit of a D-stash project, and there was something that I put up on my D-stash page on Instagram that Jeanette said that she would like to rehome. And at the same time, Jeanette's also been D-stashing and has a D-stash page on Instagram at the moment too. And she had a bunch of lovely fibres. So I, in the end, decided to do a bit of an exchange. So I sent my yarn and Jeanette sent me a box with some fibre. But also, Jeanette kindly sent me a book as well, because we both share a love of reading, and my book's actually downstairs at the moment, so I can't show you that, but I can show you some of the glorious things that have come my way via that D-stash. I won't dwell on them all, otherwise we'll be here for ages, but I got this gradient pack from Hilltop Farm called Winged Fancy, and it's 30% British Shetland, 30% Tussar silk and 40% merino, and it's a beautiful, it's very subtle, but it's got these sort of purpley colours to it, going down to almost black, if not black. I haven't had it out of the package yet, but that was beautiful to receive. I've also got from Jelly Beans yarn, and I've not tried Jelly Beans yarn before, two 25-gram merino fibre bats in the fruit salad colourway. So fun reds and oranges through to like a pink, very pale pink in the middle. So they will be fun to spin up. Then I got some Gotland to try from You Spinning Me a Yarn. And this might, I wonder if this came from Wonderwall, because Jeanette, did you buy this at Wonderwall? Because I had some fibre from Wonderwall from You Spinning Me a Yarn that came exactly like this. So yeah, this is Gotland wool, 140 grams. I'm really interested to see how that spins up. I've not tried Gotland before. And then I also have some Llanwenog, which is a Welsh breed, crossed with Gotland. And I've got two 100-gram bats of that in just a natural sort of cream colour. I have spun with Llanwenog before, and it's lovely to spin with. So I'm interested to, sat here spinning it in my fingers. I can't resist. Once I start playing with fibre, that's it. So yeah, when I'm going to get around to spinning all of these, I have no idea, but I will. And then the thing that I most wanted on Jeanette's D-Stash page was this Bogway hand spinner. I've seen these around probably since I started going to fibre festivals, and I've always been very curious about this type of spindle, and I've never quite taken the plunge. So when I saw that Jeanette had one on her D-Stash, I thought, well, why not? So yeah, I hope to be able to try that out sometime soon. If you follow the channel for a while, you know I love dipping my toes into different spinning tools. So yeah, that will definitely be a new one for me to try out. I feel like there is some force out there in the universe that is trying to stop me sharing my acquisition confessions, because if you remember last time I did my wrap up, I tried to record this section and the camera footage got corrupted, I think. Yesterday, so everything you've so far watched was recorded yesterday. Yesterday my camera batteries kept dying and I just could not finish this last section. And today I've just recorded this whole section, and I went to edit it onto the end of the stuff that I recorded yesterday, and I realised like what I couldn't see in my little camera screen is I had a massive blob of moisturiser stuck on the end of my nose that wasn't rubbed in. So I couldn't share that footage. So yeah, let's hope 550th time lucky I can finish this acquisition segment. I have some yarn to share with you and some other goodies, and you might be thinking, and what is going on here? You just recorded a whole video and shared a whole video about de-stashing your yarn and trying to get things a little bit more manageable, and yes, I did. That video is no way meant to be a yarn buying ban for me. It's more about curating a collection of yarn that is more of a reflection of the things that I like to knit and want to knit right now. So there will be yarn acquisitions, and you have to bear in mind that because I didn't manage to record this last month, this is showing the things that have come into the house over the last 3 months really. Anyway, let's hope we can do this today. So the first two things I've got to share with you are actually gifts rather than purchases that I've made myself. And the first is a pattern collection. My lovely friend Louise, who I already mentioned in this video in connection with the spinning that I've been doing this month, surprised me with a gift of a pattern collection from Paper Daisy Creations. It's a 4-pattern collection, and I believe the patterns are going to be released weekly, I think, over April, and the first one's landed in my inbox, and it's a sock pattern collection, and all of the patterns have a Secret Garden theme. And if you've followed here for any length of time, you'll know that Secret Garden is my favourite book ever. I was just blown away that Louise saw this and thought of me and sent it to me as a gift. So the first pattern is the Misselthwaite Manor collection, and the pattern's just dropped, and it's a lovely textured sock. So thank you so much, Louise, for this lovely collection. I don't for 1 minute think that I'm going to be able to keep up and knit a pair of socks a week for the next few weeks, but I'm going to print out all the patterns and keep them on standby, and I do hope to start casting on soon. And maybe I can use the orange skein that was a fibre gift from Louise to knit up one of the patterns. That would be a good marriage, wouldn't it? Yeah, so I shall try to do that. And then I had a beautiful yarn gift arrive in the post all the way from Canada. My lovely friend Erin sent me a belated Christmas gift, and Erin sent me this absolutely glorious skein of yarn from Fleece Artist, who are based in Nova Scotia, and Erin is also in Nova Scotia. And this is the glorious skein of yarn, and this colourway is also Nova Scotia. And apparently this contains the colours of the Nova Scotian flag, which is just such a lovely kind of personal connection to an area of the world that I would love to visit one day and hopefully drop in on my lovely friend Erin. So yeah, I can't wait to work with this. For some reason, when I pulled it out of the box, I immediately thought woven scarf, but I don't know why, and I'm not going to jump into it anything just yet. I shall ruminate on it for a while, but maybe it will become a woven piece. But these colours just remind me of the ocean quite a lot as well, which I also love. Beautiful blues and greens, and yeah, scrummy. And it's a merino nylon sort of sock base. And in the package, Erin also sent me some beautiful tea from Stash and a cute little wooden cat ornament, which is actually down decorating my mantelpiece right now. So thank you so much for the lovely gift, Erin. Yarn that I purchased for myself. I have 2 skeins, not one, but 2 skeins from Attic Spin Dye, my lovely friends Andy and Angela. And they have recently been releasing a yarn every month based on British birds. And I got the robin colourway a few months ago, and so I think I missed 1 or 2 of the birds collection, but I wanted to try and collect as many of these as I can, just because I really want to support Andy and Angela, because they've been very supportive to me and the channel in the past, and I love birds, so what better way to add to my new collection of yarn, let's put it this way, than 2 beautiful skeins from Attic Spin Dye. And they actually look really nice together, don't they? So this is the Gold Crest colourway. I don't think these are available anymore, but if you hop on over to their Etsy shop, and I'll leave a link below, they do have new releases in the bird collection every month, I think. So yeah, this is Gold Crest, and this is Magpie. And they're just so beautiful, aren't they? And skeins often come with stitch markers, and I think I'm already using the one that came with this. It was like a little bird in a cage, which was really nice. So that one's attached to a project somewhere, I think. So yeah, those are the 2 from Attic Spin Dye, and also they're so generous. They usually include a lavender pouch and mini skeins as well. So I think I shall keep a little collection of my Attic Spin Dye mini skeins and maybe make a project from them later in the year. And then also on the yarn front, I treated myself to actually a little kit from the Berlin Yarn Company, and I think in February they had a sale with a discount across, I think, all of their yarns. And I kept seeing it pop up on Instagram. I've been very curious to try the Berlin Yarn Company yarn. They're based in the Outer Hebrides. Their yarn is a mixture of Hebridean and Cheviot, and this is the colour that I got. It's called Moor, M-O-O-R. And in my little kit I got 3 skeins of this, which should be enough to make the pattern that came as part of the kit, the Macaire or the Machair Wildflower Shawl by Emma Vining. And the shawl has a beautiful patterning of bobbles and lace. And yeah, I just fell in love with that colour combination and that pattern. So I had to treat myself to a little kit from them as well. And I'm hoping that the dice will be kind to me at some point soon in the not too distant future and allow me to cast that on. And if the dice don't, then I might just jolly well cast it on anyway, because I am the boss of me and the dice game is just a little bit of fun. So yes, quite a long acquisition segment. There might be another one in my April roundup, because this month is Wonderwall. And I should, with any luck, be attending Wonderwall on the Sunday. Before I say goodbye, I would like to, as always, say a huge thank you to anyone who supports the channel via my Patreon, and you'll find a link to Patreon below. In this last month I popped up to sort of behind the scenes videos, so there was one just following me through my week, an average-ish week, and the second was the process that I went through in designing the fibre that went into the first Yarn and Yarns Mystery Fibre Club. If you'd like to support the channel and the content that I make here and are able to, then please do think about clicking on the link to Patreon and signing up to become a regular supporter of the channel. I'd also like to say a thank you to the lovely community member who gifted me a coffee. I won't mention any names, but you know who you are. Thank you so much for that wonderful coffee donation. I'm currently saving up the coffee pennies to help me with the cost of shipping out prizes for our make-alongs. And of course to all of our community who are here watching, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel. I truly appreciate all of your support, your kind words and encouragement, and do let me know in the comments below what you have been making in March. Did any cheeky little acquisitions come your way? Inquiring minds need to know. So yeah, do let me know in the comments below. I love to chat to you there. So yes, we finally reached the end of this video. I'm not sure how long it will be. It feels like it's taken forever and a day for me because of all the technological woes that I have encountered, but we got there in the end. I'll be back again soon here on the channel with some more making content, so I hope you will join me for the next video. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.